Hello, you fucks. Welcome to John Solo's Beer Brigade. I'm John Solo. You are not. I'm a bit discombobulated. I'm still getting set up here. Ta-da! There we go. Before anyone comments, I have not updated the ticker. All right? So please don't tell me that I didn't update the ticker because I know I didn't update the fucking ticker. Um, so we have had like a hell of a week. I'm gonna update the crowd real quick. I'll let you know what's been going on. So it was like on Tuesday. I can't remember now. Tuesday or Wednesday, we had like a computer meltdown. The computer that I record on, Max, everybody knows Max, started doing this thing. They call it phantom touch. Occasionally, I would be working along and it would just start to decide to click on its own somewhere, which is not good. So like my PDF would minimize, my recording program would stop. It was a bad thing. Max actually had an accident about a year ago. I had him out at a live gig and he fell off a subwoofer and busted his screen. I had to get it repaired. I think ultimately that was the reason this has happened. There's really not much I can do. We we ran up to I don't know if y'all remember Kenneth Obie. We ran up to Kenneth Obie's wife's house, Denise. She lives in Ohio now, and we actually got Kenneth's old recording computer because it was a very similar model. I thought they would work. Turns out it was too nice. It had a fan in it. It didn't work. So long story short, too late. I know. I tried to repair Max. That didn't work. So we had a gig up on Callie's Island this weekend. We're in Ohio, and we're pretty close to Lake Erie, a couple hours. So I ordered a new computer, a replacement for Max. We went off to the island and spent 3 days running sound for our band and kind of having a mini vacation. We got back just a few short hours ago, and UPS showed up and brought us our new computer. So welcome K2. K2 is the Max replacement here, and I had just enough time to install Windows 11 and get my audio driver software up and running so I could talk to you today. Yay, woo, look at that. So I've been rushing like a madman, but that's what we're doing. This week we're working on Silver Bullets, Silver Book 1 from Patricia Logan. We started that last week. We're going to finish it here tomorrow and Wednesday. Then I have no idea what we're moving on to. I'm pretty sure it's going to be, because I know Jody's working on the pre-production right now, a K.C. Wells book. We have book 7 of Main Men. We've got that rocking. And we've got another couple on the back burner too here. We got some catch-up work to do this week. So that's what's happening. I'm back. Whoop, whoop. Everything is great. I'm going to bring on my guest because I'm kind of anxious to talk to her. It's been a little while since we've got up. And this guest needs no introduction, but I'm going to give one anyways here in a minute. Here we go. K.C. Wells. Hello, K.C. How are you?
Hello.
So I've never done this on the air for you. I got to read this because I told you for the, I always grab a picture of my guest and I put it up, and I've commented several times on how hot you look in that picture that I used for the prep for the show today. I mean, really, there's like, you look really nice in that picture. I'm a fan of cleavage, and but anyways, I don't mean to like, but I found it on your website, and on your website there is so who is this K.C. Wells anyway? I've never read this before, so I have to read it now. A little bit about Casey. Casey lives on an island off the south coast of the UK, surrounded by natural beauty, because she is naturally beautiful. She writes about men who love men and can't even contemplate a life that doesn't include writing. The rainbow rose tattoo on her back with the words "Love is love and love wins" is her way of hoisting a flag. Yeah, I bet you she hoists a flag. She plans to be writing about men in love, be it sweet and slow, hot or kinky, for a long while to come. Casey started writing gay romance in 2012, and at the time of writing this was 2 years ago, she has 60 books published. I think you're closer to 70 now. Judging by the outlines in her Plot Bunnies folder, there's a lot more to come. And I've got a lot of questions about this a lot more to come thing. But yeah, I knew a
Okay.
lot of those facts, but I didn't know all of them. For one, I've seen your back, but I didn't realize that you had 2 tattoos on there. I guess you do. Love is love and love wins. I guess I didn't pay attention.
Actually, I have 3.
What's the other one?
I have a rose right at the bottom. That was number 1. The
Ah,
rose was number 1. Um, then I drew a rose and ivy and rosebuds, and it was supposed to look like a necklace going down my back, and that was number 2. And then I had the rainbow rose done just below it. That was number 3.
so what is the
So,
significance of the rose to you?
well, I kept seeing Love is Love, and I thought, okay, put your money where your mouth is. It's a thing I believe, so I put it on my back.
I think it's absolutely perfect. And anyone that's met you in person knows that you truly do. You live that. I mean, you're one of the most friendly people I've ever met. I've told the story about how you took me under your wing immediately, and not just with the books, but also like at EPC, and you showed me around, and she showed me the ropes. Just wonderful. And I feel like have you. I know I'm not the first person that you've done that for. I mean, a lot of authors look up to you. Do you find yourself kind of grabbing baby authors by the hand at these conventions and showing them around too?
I remember, and I'm trying to remember who I was talking to. And I think it was her first GRL, and she was so nervous. And it is going back a while now. And I'm trying to remember who she was. But to be honest, these days I'm more the one who's in awe of the writers that I'm meeting at GRL. Seriously, because I mean there are some amazing names out there, and then I'll bump into them either in at GRL. I seem to remember doing lots of fangirling at my last GRL. Seriously,
Well, there's a lot of
yeah,
we've talked about this before, but there's so much talent in this particular genre. I see it on
yeah,
my side, um,
yeah,
and I see it because I have to one break down an author's story so I can do my version of it. But
yeah.
two, I see it in narrators too. There's not that many narrators that are working in the MM romance genre. Um, there's some new ones coming in, which is great. But some of the narrators that are working out there, I mean, I feel like a slacker compared to somebody. They're just incredibly talented, gifted individuals. Um, uh,
I think
do
you're
you,
all amazing.
some are better than I. I'm sorry, my first couple books. I tell you about this? I recently did that bundle for you, the Southern Boys trilogy, and
Hmm.
the the first two books were recorded one on a different technical setup. It was a different microphone. It was a different everything. I've
Yeah,
upgraded since then. Two though, I'd never even taken acting classes when I first started. I didn't really know what I was doing, and the difference between like the 2017 John Solo versus now was just clearly represented in that bundle. I was going through and trying to find a sample, so I started re-listening to a bit of book one. I was like, oh my God, I hope I got better. This and I listened to book two, and by book three, it was just it might as well have been different narrators. It was amazing, and actually, your progression and your writing style is it's kind of the same progression. It's not that you were bad in book one. I remember us talking about book one a lot too. It was a very different, much more angsty style
mm,
story than you normally do.
yes,
Um,
yeah.
and also the I don't know. Well, I was about to say, are you comfortable talking about this? But fuck it, I don't, it's Casey Wells. You had a person of color in there and a person of color on the cover, and you basically there was a big controversy about that at the time about how if you put a person of color on the cover, it won't sell, and you were like, fuck you, put a person of color. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that whole deal. But yeah, the progression of writing from book one to book three as well is just fantastic. What are you doing to learn these days? Are you just writing and writing and writing? Are you reading other authors? Are you taking classes?
Funny you should say that. At the start of the year, I Sue Brown and I went away into a log cabin in the Forest of Dean, just to have 4 or 5 days to ourselves. And I think I spent the first 3 days reading, and I was reading about writing suspense, writing a thriller, um, about writing conflict, because I was about to start plotting um, a thriller. So I looked at a few books that were recommended for me, and I took them all with me. And I spent 3 days reading and making notes. And then the fourth day, I actually started plotting it, and also looking at how I would sequence the book. And then I read a few thrillers. Um, I took a few of those with me as well. And one of them was by a very famous thriller writer. I'm not going to say the name. Um, But I read the story and the writing style that I can remember vividly saying to Sue Brown, listen to this. And I'd read her a couple of lines and said, my editor would not let me get away with that. We couldn't write that. They'd say, no, you can't do that. But the plot was brilliant, and there were twists, there were turns, and a couple of really good twists. And I thought, okay, that's what I want to do in the thriller.
I'm
So
excited about that. Given
coming
an
out next
author,
year.
well, given an author of your level, um, we don't see as many twists and turns and the big surprise reveal at the end of the book in this genre as I would like. We seem like we have everything else in this genre. We can do fantasy, we can do sci-fi, we can do contemporary, we can do western, we can do whatever. But you don't see a lot of that surprise build up, twist at the end that they're really not expecting at all. I can't wait to see what you
Yeah.
do with that. That's going to be fun. Now, that means
Oh,
you're going to be setting it in the U.S. and not in the U.K., right?
it is actually. It's set in Boston.
Good,
Yeah.
because fuck Seb Yerrick. I get this one. God damn it. I love it.
But the thing is, when I wrote it, I knew there were going to be more, which is why I kind of finished it on a little slight cliffhanger.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the
Yeah.
cliffhanger. Don't let anybody tell you any different.
And then I sat down with the husband. Now, I have to say that when I wrote my cozy mysteries, the husband was brilliant. He thought most of the plots. He and I sat down and plotted an entire book. So we've plotted the sequel, and that one is, yeah.
How
I'm not telling you anything about that.
well? So I'm interested in the twist element. Now, what I'm thinking of is what was that? It's a famous movie director, M. Night Shyamalan, I think is his name, somewhere there.
Yeah,
So I've been curious about how writers do this because there's a twist at the end of all of his movies, and in a lot of great thrillers, there's the twist at the end that completely turns the story on its head. When you're
yeah.
plotting something like this, do you have to start with the twist and then work backward, or is it something where you're plotting a murder and it comes to you?
To be honest, right. What one of the things I read in writing this was that the first fifth of the book, you're setting up your whole story. Call that Act One, and at the end of Act One, something happens to push your main character through a door, and then that's it. They are set on this journey. And the last fifth of the book is where everything speeds up and you're hurtling towards the end. But in the middle, you have the bulk of it where you have all these scenes of everything that keeps happening and happening and happening, but it's all pushing towards this final bit. And I knew before I started writing what my two doorways were going to be. That much I knew. A lot of things come to you as you're putting it all together, but I loved writing it. I mean, it was just so different, but also it was tougher to write it. And I know that there are loads of MM authors who write suspense and thrillers. You know, this was my first go. It's nothing like. I mean, the cozies were more like a game Midsummer Murders. You know, amateur sleuth and ex cop, and yeah, okay.
Hmm.
This is not like that.
You can't. I don't think you could pants your way through something like that.
No,
Um,
you can't. I mean, put it
so,
this way: you come into the book at body number 5.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So the middle section. Are you planning by conflict, by clue? How are you laying that out? Or
well,
there's going to be these three.
what they suggested doing was getting index cards and writing down between 10 and 20 different scenes that could take place, and then just put them down and decide, okay, I want that one there, that one there, I want that one there, and that's what I did. I had a pile of index cards and I plotted out the entire book.
no,
and it worked really well.
it's fascinating to me because in the past I know that you've been a light outliner. Am I correct in saying that you give a light
Yeah,
outline, but then you're not
yeah,
truly pantsing, but you're kind of pantsing and feeling your way through a lot of the actual first draft writing process, and you send it off to an editor. This seems to be a lot more structured than you would normally do.
it is. It is.
I can't
But
wait.
oh, I also I have a friend whose husband is a forensic investigator. I think I had him on speed dial.
Um, it's how many questions do they answer? I mean, how can they? Are you asking them questions like how would you dispose of a body with a bathtub and chemicals? What that sort of
No,
thing?
no, 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 no. Well, not quite. No, but I mean, I wrote a scene with the Boston PD forensic pathologist, and then I'd say, okay, how does that look? And he's going, so okay, I'd let him see it first, and I'd check on a few things like, okay, if you're using this, what would be visible, etc., in the autopsy? But he's actually written a couple of books for authors. He's written one on crime scenes. He's written one on autopsy. The autopsies one I just went from cover to cover because it was just so useful.
Well, that's he sounds like if he's written books for for authors to read on this, and he likes talking about it. Now, first, before I move on here, do you have a title for this one? Because everybody's asking. I'd love to read it. Blah 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 blah. Do you have a title for this?
Yeah, it's called In His Sights.
Excellent. I can't wait for that. So when is my fantasy going to be done? Because this is what I've been waiting
Oh, I
on.
knew you were going to ask
Well,
that.
so everybody that's watching here, occasionally Casey is a cover junkie. Okay, some people collect ornaments in their house. She collects covers. She occasionally will just send me the Facebook Messenger pics, and I love it too. And just this cover, which is sometimes her inspiration. I think that you see that cover and you're like, I can write that, and you move. It's a great way to work. She sent me this cover like 6 months ago, and you all know how I love fantasy, how I love sci-fi, that sort of thing. Just this gorgeous fantasy cover, and she's like, "How would you feel about doing?" Before she even finished messaging me, I was like, "Yes, give it to me. I want it now." So, tell us one. I want to know when the fucker is going to be done, but two, tell us a little bit about it because it sounded so intriguing and so different and so kind of out there.
I can't see the blurb in front of me, but I think it goes something like um, a dragon kidnaps a prince. Yeah, you've heard this one before. Um, there's there's a farm boy who doesn't want to be a farm boy and likes boys. There's a princess who's itching for a scrap and likes girls. There's a female warrior who's also itching for a scrap and likes girls. There's a mystic who's being very stingy with his secrets. Um, and um, but I've got to find it. Something about um, they have to. Oh God, it's no good. I'm going to find it. 1 second.
Yeah, no, I
One
can't.
second.
You had me at fantasy, but the layout of it too was obviously a bit different from a normal Casey Wells book because
Yeah.
now I'm not, it is implied in your blurb, it's implied that there are going to be more than just relationships in the book, which is also, again, just
Hang on a sec. Oh yeah, here we go. Right, here we go. Da, 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 da. Just found it. 1 second.
I'm patient.
A dragon kidnaps a prince. You've read that story before, but who can save him? There's the farm boy who doesn't want to be a farm boy and likes boys. The female warrior who's in it for the money and likes girls. The princess who's itching for a scrap and also likes girls. And the mystic who's stingy with his secrets. But to rescue the prince, they'll have to face off a terrible tyrant and meet the demands of a powerful sorceress. Along the way, friendships will be forged, battles will be fought, and more than one heart will find true love.
Yes, give that to me, please. I can't wait to see what Casey Wells does with that. That's going to be fantastic. What were you just like? I've written it all. I might as well write a fan. What turned you on to that? Why did you decide to move in that direction?
I don't know. I had an idea and it wouldn't leave me alone. And I knew that I wanted the cover to be kind of a Star Wars kind of thing, in that you'd have all these characters, and that's exactly what I got. Finding the characters was I loved it, every minute of it, and I'm so pleased with what I ended up with. Did exactly what I asked, and everybody's on there who needs to be. And then,
Well,
of
it's
course, I found pictures for secondary characters.
of course you did.
So yeah, it didn't stop.
It's a cover junkie. I think you get inspiration from that. Star Wars is actually. I mean, I realize it's a sci-fi story, but it's really it's an epic fantasy, is what it is. It's a completely different thing. It's a fairy tale,
Yeah,
truly, is what it is. Which
yeah,
is it's that hero's journey kind of thing. Or do you know what I'm
yeah.
talking about with the heroes? Are
Yes,
are
I
are,
do.
are you going to be using something
Yes,
like that for this? Is that as an inspiration?
kind of. Yes, because it starts with the hero's uh, father dying, and an old man turning up and saying, "Oh, by the way, he wasn't your father."
Perfect. Yes, give it to me,
So,
please, for the love of God. Uh, I can't wait. That's gonna be so much fun. Now, something else has been going on in your life. You told me about a month and a half ago that you had another man in your life, and that he was potentially going to be coming to stay with you on not on a permanent basis. Are we allowed to talk about this, or is this a comfortable?
oh
Or,
yes, they know because I've been posting pictures today. So
yeah, so Casey is very good friends with a cover model and an artist, and
he's
uh,
he's so much more than that. Tomorrow he's going to be playing piano for me.
oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, we're having afternoon tea at a local hotel, and he's brought lots of music with him, and he's going to be playing the piano.
Now, are we
So,
permitted to say his name, Jack?
Jack Parton.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
now I I'm pretty sure I've got this cover model right. He's the guy. He's a bit huskier. He's an older guy, bigger built, and he's got kind of a grayish beard kind of thing going on.
right here.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
He's on covers all over the freaking place. Do you remember one of the covers he's been on? One of your books he's been on the covers.
He was on the cover of First, and he was on the cover of Personal Secrets. Um, he's also on the cover of the seventh book in the Collars and Cuff series. I found a cover model, a studio one, of a guy sitting cross-legged, and he was perfect for Jared. And then I said to Parker Williams, I said, the problem is that they're going to look at this big guy and they're going to think he's the Dom, and he's not. What I need is a figure in the background in leathers. So I said to Jack, can I borrow one of your pictures, please? So he gave me this, and all you see of him is a chest with a harness, and his thumbs hooked into his belt, and he's wearing chaps. But yeah, you can tell that's the dog, that's the sub. So,
That is
but
fantastic.
he's, but he's also going to be on another one for me called Kiss and Tell.
So you're obviously very friendly with this person. He's staying
Oh
with you.
God, yeah,
How
my
did
best friends.
is it okay to and can you tell us the story of how you all met?
Oh, everybody knows me. I've talked about this. If I mean on my Facebook timeline, in my featured photos, there's a photo of Jack and I from 2014. In fact, September the 6th, 2014. In August of that year, I was starting to plan first about a bartender come porn star called Mike, and I saw Jack on a cover for Andrew Gray, and I thought, oh my God, he's perfect for Mike. So I messaged him on Facebook. How do you feel about doing this? And he said, yeah, sure, fine. And then it turned out that I was going to be in London for one day for a book signing. He was going to be in London at the same time. Let's meet up. So we were going to meet up uh, at the book signing and then have dinner and talk. So the day arrived. The book signing was in a London pub. So I've turned up and I didn't tell anybody he was coming. And this is where I point out that he had an alter ego at the time. We have Jack Parton, who was classical musician and composer, and we have Dirk Kaber, who is a gay porn star. And I didn't tell anybody he was coming. Um, okay, I did my reading, and I messaged him. We'd been messaging for about a month before we actually met on WhatsApp, and I messaged him said, "Okay, that's the reading over with." And he went, "Wait, what?" I said, "The reading, just done it." "No, your reading is 2:30." And I said, "No, my signing is 2:30. I just did my reading, but I wanted to hear you." "Well, you missed me. I'm coming now." Okay, so I'm about 10 minutes into my half-hour signing, and this voice says, "Casey, someone to see you." And I look up, and there he is. Well, apparently, he stepped into the pub, and quite a few people saw him, recognized him. There were a few shrieks and squeals. And one lady in particular, who is standing next to me, who is never ever going to forget this, who just looked at him and went, "Oh my God." That was it. So he said at the time, my intention was to come in the pub, scooch around the outside till I find you. He said, "I might as well have been John Lennon for all the fuss I caused when I walked in." And I had the event organizer saying, "Why didn't you tell me?" And I just went, "Surprise." And that was it.
That's a fantastic story. And he, from the way you've described him to me, he's certainly, not only does he have star power and just the fact of what he's done and what he's been in, but also what he's been on, I guess. But that sounds weird any way I say it, so I'm just going to pass on by that one. But also star power just in his personality alone, and you two have become good friends and such. But I mean, it
Yeah.
sounds like a very magnetic personality. He walks in the room, and
Yeah.
people are just going to, yeah,
Yeah.
he's going to draw the
Yeah.
eye, I guess you could say. Well, I hope
Yeah.
you enjoy having your house guest. That's what we're going to call him. We're going to call him a house guest for now. Um, so you're not able to bring him along to GRL, is that correct?
No, because he'll be somewhere else at the time.
I
Sorry.
gotcha. It's all right, but
But
you are coming into the States. You're going to be in Richmond, Virginia this year.
yes, I shall be at GRL. I've got, he's coming with me to the UK meet at the weekend.
Look at that.
Yeah.
So
We're
that's
also, we're talking about Shimmer next year as well. He came with me to Rare Paris. He could be coming to a few more rare events next year.
that's awesome. I got an offer for the rare events, and I'm not. It's expensive, as you know. You're about to come over here. It's expensive to pull off. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do it next year or not. I'm considering it. They reached out to me and told me, take your pick. Which one do you want? The Scotland one. Are they doing a Scotland one next year too? Do you know?
I don't think so.
That
I
was
think that could be the year after.
that was
Yeah.
attractive to me. I was like, Scotland would be fun. And I'm not stepping foot in France. Fuck that. But they're doing the Australian one, which is a possibility, I guess. But that's really far. But so for GRL, what day are you coming in?
I'm flying in on the Tuesday night when Delta stopped rearranging my flights. Yeah, I'm coming in on the Tuesday night
Uh,
and I'm leaving very, very early on the Sunday.
Neil says he's going to be at the UK meet this weekend. So ta-da! Happy birthday, Neil.
Ta-da!
That's going to be awesome. Are you setting up a table at the UK meet this weekend? Do you have your author table, or you just? I don't really know how this one works. Cool.
And my assistant, aka.
He picks up heavy shit and looks fantastic doing it.
It was so funny in Paris because he's on my table runner. He's on my banner behind me. He's on my business cards, and he was sitting next to me. And one lovely reader, who I think is German, she was convinced he was my husband, and I had to say, "I'm really sorry, but no, he's not."
I don't get that. See, I don't get. I'm just a narrator, okay? When I go to author signings and sit at their tables, it doesn't help at all. I'm like, I'm John Solo. They're like, fuck you. I'm here for KC Wells, and they're getting their shit, and they're like, they have no idea. But you get like somebody like that who's big. Maybe I need a big. I need larger pectorals. That's what I need. That's. Well, we're doing if you're available, Wednesday night, we're doing audiobook narrator thing again this year. And we've got four of us on there. So we're doing that panel from 7 to 8:30. JJ is going to be emceeing this one.
Hmm.
But we've got a new guy that you need to check out too. His name's Declan Winters. And he's
Hmm.
fairly new to the genre, which is awesome. Greg's going to be there, and Michael Fulolo, which I don't know that Michael's done one of these at least in several years, so that's going to be awesome as well. A lot of people haven't met him face to face. But then, of course, we got to get together for tapas this year, or something to the effect. I don't really know where we eat in Richmond, but we got to find something good
Yes. Yeah.
and get the
Yeah.
whole gang
That was
together.
that was so good.
Yeah, it
Can I,
was.
by the way, can I just point something out here?
Yeah,
You were talking about how you listened to your recording of book one of Southern Boys and then book. I asked you to narrate because I heard you narrate one of my books and I thought you were amazing.
there's a one of my good friends said this to me once, and it's something I believe in firmly. There's good, and then there's better, if that makes any sense. Now,
Okay.
you are much like me, and I've observed this in your writing, and we don't talk about this a lot, but occasionally when I finish a book for you and I send you the email and it says, hey, this is done, here's how to pay, and here's what we're doing for the uploads and all that shit, occasionally I will give you a compliment and say, hey, this one was really good. Now, I don't do that on everyone because sometimes it's like, oh, this is a pretty good book. But occasionally I see growth in an author and I'm like, oh my God, like she made a big jump there. She's gotten better. I can observe this because I have to deconstruct your writing to do my job. Do you remember when I told you that you have two types of, for at least a while now, you've kind of fallen into two different types of things. You've got your sickly sweet, sickly isn't the right word, but very sweet, sappy, funny kind of thing. And then you've got I'm going to break your goddamn heart conflict kind of book, right? And with a couple of them, Desire and Denial, I believe, was one of them. You managed to weave those together, and it was brilliant. You've been doing that almost the entire Main Men series of kind of weaving in the sappy sweet and the conflict break your heart together into one. Whereas there used to be kind of two separate. It was like multiple personalities of K.C. Wells, and when you hit that sweet spot, when you hit the Venn diagram right in the middle, it just blows me away. So when I send you a little note saying good job, this one was really good, that means something for me. I'm actually saying like I've seen growth, and to your comment, I observed growth in myself there from book one to book three. I didn't suck with book one. I don't think you'd have hired me if I sucked, but by book three, I was far better. To the point where I wish I could go back and do it. Will you pay me to do it again? I'll. um,
You know which one of yours I love? Princely Submission.
that was a great book, dude.
I love Princely Submission. I could listen to that over and over again.
That was a great
Seriously.
book, and the entire crowd was hoping that you were going to do a follow up at some point on that couple.
I am.
Ta-da!
I
See, there
am.
we go. Is that kind of in the
But it
plot
won't be
bunny
like
basket?
it won't be like the first one.
It's fine. The first
It
one
won't be
was
like the first one.
the first one had a lot of comedic value to it, which I really enjoy when you do that, and it was great. Um, speaking of
Second one's
main,
going to be a bit more serious.
well, are you going to follow the same characters, or are you bringing in a new couple?
Yes.
Okay, same characters.
Yes.
Excellent. Well,
Yeah.
then I'm down
Yeah.
with that because I fell in love with the prince in particular. He was a ton of fun to play. Main
Well,
Men.
can you imagine a prince who suddenly has to step up the plate and is struggling to do so?
Well, of course he is because he wasn't very effective as a prince. But I mean, it wasn't exactly he wasn't exactly looking forward to that role, I might say. Um,
No.
uh,
My at the moment we had princely submission and and I want my first word of the title to be kingly, which might give you an idea of what's going on, but I have to find my next word and I haven't found it yet.
um,
But I know basically what I want to write.
I want to talk
But
about
yeah,
Seb a bit too, your other narrator that you're using a lot. And I realize you're not just locked into me and Seb, but Seb's a buddy of mine, and Seb has come a long way as well in his narration. Do you have a book of yours that he's worked on over the course of time that you really look to, like this is a great Seb book? Because a lot of the fans are kind of, some will go the American route with you, some will go the British route, and I think a lot of fans are missing out on one or the other because you have so many good books that you're putting out.
I loved what he did with Dear Santa. I think that was wonderful, and I also liked what he did with Truth Will Out, which is the first cozy, because yeah, and it was that one. Yes, that's why I asked him to do some more of them because I loved his voice. I love what he did for the book.
Truthful Out, Jody
So
actually listened to, which is a rarity. Rarely will Jody pull up an audiobook and listen to it unless she has to edit it and that sort of thing. But she was a fan of Seb's before he started working for you. And when she found out that he was doing that, I think we listened to that on a flight. She did. Going on a long flight, we need a couple things, so she grabbed that as one of her audiobooks to listen to. He knocked it out of the park. He's amazing. Um, the main men series that we have coming up. You have told me, and I'm not sure that I believe it yet, but you have told me that book 7, Levis Love, is that the correct title for it?
hmm
You have told me that this is the last book in the series. Now, given your attachment to the series at this point, I don't know anything about sales or anything like that, but is it really the last one?
Well, okay. It's the last in the series. There's another short story to come, which is for my newsletter subscribers. And then eventually I'll be asking a certain narrator to narrate the 3 bonus stories. And I'm kind of looking at him. But in Levi's Love, I introduce a character and I'm setting up another series, which is also in Maine, which will also include the guys from Maine Met. So you won't see the end of them. They're going to be around.
Well,
So
they're all so established now. In the beginning, it's a struggle as a narrator going into something like this, where the very first scene, book 1, you have all the friends together all at once, and we really don't have
yes,
developed personalities for them yet. Really, you didn't have developed personalities for them yet. So I do what I call placekeeper, not just voices, but placekeeper attitudes in the beginning, because we really don't know where we're going. At this point,
yeah,
by book 7, Jody's working on the pre-read for this, and she was like, "You could just cold read this." She's like you know all these people so well. You could just cold read this. You're not gonna, but you could. I mean, we know
I
them so
I
well.
wrote a post in Goodreads about that, and I said we've come to the end, and I love these guys, and I said and I love Ben's snarkiness because Ben is the snarky one. I love Seb who seems to have a permanent hard on. Um, Dylan's curiosity, Aaron's laid back approach to life, Sean's strength, Finn, I love his positivity. Um, I loved Noah's inner geek, and I loved Levi, who was the glue that held them together. Basically, he's the heart of them, and yeah, you get to know them all, and I could read something and I'd know which one of them it was that said that.
That's
But yeah,
very. It's evident to me now. Seb, I absolutely loved playing Seb. Seb was a blast to me. Seb is the closest. Now, I do not have a permanent hard on, but Seb is the closest to my personality. Uh, I did in my 20s, but I'm not a rock star anymore. Levi, though, I made a voice choice with Levi, which kind of took him a certain direction, and that puts a flavor on what you're doing. It's probably, I mean, you pay me for my interpretation of your work. It's you're not the producer. I am in this regard, which is, it sounds weird to say, but it is true. And where I'm going
hmm
with Levi gives a lot of fun flavor for me in my interpretation of it, which is a blast. I'm looking forward to this. Um, Now, the bundle that's going to be coming along, I don't imagine it's going to be for a while. So you've got some short stories to write and all that good stuff. So we're
yeah,
probably looking at next year for that. But
hmm
I keep on getting, I don't know if people can see, They can't. I can't show you. On one screen, I've got Casey's picture with her little black dress and her cleavage. Like I keep on looking over, like, don't look there. Anyways, can't help it. You've been wonderful. Thank you so much. I realize we got in depth on kind of the writing side of it, but I've really kind of geeked out
Good.
on talking to writers about this kind of stuff lately. I'm looking forward to seeing you at GRL. I as well will
I'm
be in
looking
there
forward to
Tuesday
seeing
evening.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll hook up a dinner date. But I got to warn you, I travel with an entourage these days, so it might be a tapas date with like 25 people at this point. So, uh,
Whoa.
yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna have to figure out something larger. But anyways, I missed some comments, guys. I'm sorry, my comments weren't refreshing there for a while, so I'm sorry about that. Casey, if you get the chance, if you could jump in on the comments and see if I missed anything, that'd be
Hmm.
fantastic. I love you. Thank you so much. I will see you in about a month and a half. And crowd, I'll be back in
Can't wait to
Discord
see.
tomorrow. Now all you got to do is wave bye to the crowd. See you later.